morning and welcome to David Bowles Live. A couple of minutes late, getting started. Wow, big day. New beginning, kind of like setting everything up for the first time. With this stream, I'm very glad you're with us today. Interesting topics, interesting things happening all over the world. But the first thing to chat about is that this stream, David Bowles Live, is now a Twitch affiliate, which is good news and good news. It means for us as streamers that we get more control over our stream. We can control our chat a little bit better by making it subscription only. So if someone wants to come in and troll us and say something nasty, okay, go ahead. We'll know your email address, we know your phone number, and you have to pay to get in here and to insult us. I like that. It also means that Twitch has the right, that some people don't like, to place advertising on this stream. And I know people do not like advertising. I do not like advertising myself. But that's how they pay for the bandwidth and the servers and all of that, just so we're able to come live to you with a little more features. But you can remove all the ads if you subscribe to this channel. And I was kind of getting ready to go here, and I was looking at different streams we have set up just to monitor if we're live or not. And on a couple of our non-subscription accounts, I saw, oh, look at that. Advertising. Okay. You want to get rid of it? You pay a little bit of money. You also get emotes. You get more interesting perks, I guess you'd say, in the chat. Video on demand becomes subscriber only, which is not a terrible thing because we put a lot of work into this stream, and some people kind of like to take the work you do and download it for themselves and make a profit of it. Really nothing you can do about that. But now, if they want to try to do that with our video on demand, they have to pay for it. They have to pay a subscription fee, and then they can steal our content. So chat is now subscriber only, which means it's going to really cut down on the volume of what we have people saying. Although I will occasionally chat with myself, as I'm going to do right now, by typing quote, meow. And here it goes. The secret to success is a controlled viciousness. And anyone in chat can do that. They can type an QUOTE, send, boom. You get a little chat box that pops up and says hello. So we are a Twitch affiliate, and then there's another level above that, which is Twitch Partner, which is also very enticing. Everything kind of stays the same, but your video on demand replays stay on the Twitch service for 60 days instead of 14 days. But there are other ways you can get your videos to last a little bit longer. If you're a Prime subscriber or you are a Nitro subscriber. But the neatest thing about becoming a partner eventually, which will take us some time to get there, is you can broadcast in a higher definition. Now it appears video on demand replays, just no matter what status you are with Twitch, it plays at 720p. But if you want to stream and have people watch you in the highest, best quality 1080p, if your local hardware can handle it, then people are going to get a much crisper, better look at you. You can put more things on the screen. You get your real estate back, screen-wise. Very tempting. But that might take us a little while to get there. There you go. If you have Amazon Prime, you can subscribe to this Bowles Book Stream for free each month. Just click on the purple subscribe button to start at bowles.tv. And that's kind of a neat thing because many people don't know that Amazon owns Twitch. And one of the perks is Prime Gaming, which we don't really do here, except when we play terrible chess. But that's not gaming. That's not what they mean. They were talking about video games. But a perk is you can go, if you're an Amazon Prime subscriber, you can go to this Bowls.tv, click on subscribe, and then you scroll down and it'll say use your Prime subscription to subscribe for 1 month for free to the stream. And you click it and boom, 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 free, no ads. Very lovely. However, you have to remember every month to resubscribe using your Prime subscription because it's only good for a month. So after a month, if you don't like this stream, you can go to another stream and watch that stream, which is fine too. So here's what happened over the weekend when we became an affiliate, and I'll show you. Within hours of publishing 2 articles, this is what I did to myself. I published 1 article on Bowls Blogs about this Twitch stream, trying to get the word out. Scratch my Twitch on Bowls.tv. So here you go. Okay, here's the story. La la. Okay, there we go. Okay, there's a scary face. Our friend Kathy in Council Bluffs, Iowa, didn't know that was me. Oh, is that you? Oh, your eyes are a different color. Yes, it's me, ugly and terrifying as ever. And we keep scrolling down, and I'm talking about what we do on the stream, and and here we go. Look what I've done. This video is only available to subscribers. Sub now to watch and support Bowls Books. Well, okay. So that's what happens when you become a Twitch subscriber and turn on video on demand replays. Even if you're a subscriber, they don't know it because this is embedded on bowlsblogs.com, not on Twitch. They don't know if I'm a subscriber or not. Now, if I click through this, I'll be able to see what's behind there. But before we became a Twitch affiliate, you could see these freely. So if we click on this, what happens? Oh, here, look. Okay. Support me, mama. Sub badges in chat, 1 month, limited quantity, first subscriber, ad-free viewing. Okay, all that we talked about. Okay, that's very interesting. But that wasn't the only article that I published, because time is running out and the year is finishing, and I got to make my own personal quotas of publications. So you go over here to Bowls Bells. Similar article. That happens when we're promoting new stuff. We try to cover all of our channels and get everyone involved. Twitch as social mesh. As a social mesh, work out on Bowls.tv. Okay, this is my exercise kettlebell website. And here I am talking about my live stream. Oh, look what I've done again. This video is only available to subscribers. Subscribe now to watch Books. And here's another one. All these were live. You could click through them. They were delightful. And now they're all behind a paywall. By my own hand. So what that means to me is I'm probably going to have to go back and recode all of this just to put links. Or maybe I'll just leave them there because people will be interested. Click on the subscribe button and see what pops up. Oh, look at all that. So I sort of kicked myself in the face a little bit, I guess. But that's okay. Sometimes it happens. Now here we go with another update from the weekend. You may remember my saga with the Aura Ring. And as you can see right now, I'm wearing the new Gen 3 version of the Aura Ring. All right? Couldn't get my phone to connect it. It now connects. Jana has the exact same ring, Gen 3. Her ring will not charge on her charger. It flashes red, and you read the instructions from Aura. Says if you have a flashing red charger, danger, trouble. It can cause a big problem. So I was able to finally get my ring to register to my iPhone because after a lot of complaining, they fixed something on their back end, which meant that instead of me getting is your ring having trouble connecting with a long list of things to try that don't work, they changed it to click the spinning wheel, swipe right, scroll down, click on set up a new ring, and do it. So I did, and it worked. It finally worked. I was able to take Jana's ring, put it on my charger, do the same thing, spinning wheel, swipe, set up a new ring. Okay. It worked really well. However, her charger still does not work. It flashes red. Mine works perfectly. And it's lucky we have two rings where we can go back and forth and test up and down. So she contacted Aura Support, and they wanted her to make a video proving the red flashing light, put in a different cable, turn the cable upside down. If that doesn't work, take another cable, touch it to the charger somehow, which sounds to me like it's starting a fire. If you're flashing red, it's danger. You don't do anything. And all these steps. And you know that if Jana made a video with all these steps, it would take her probably an hour to figure it all out, and then upload it somewhere, and they're going to look at it, and you know what they're going to say. Oh, we really couldn't see the flashing pattern of the flashing light, or you didn't flip it around right, or you didn't touch it in precise. Can you make another video, and we'll take a look at it, and we'll see if you deserve a new charger. So she said, I'm not making a video, and your policy of forcing consumers to make intricate videos that are inherently dangerous because of this flashing red light is just ridiculous. And if that's company policy that you are quoting, I would like to speak to the person who's making the policy. Well, then they replied back, said, okay, we're going to just go forward and submit this to the warranty department to see if they're going to replace your charger. And we're thinking, why do you think there's a charger scam going on? The ring arrived 24 hours ago with a bad charger. What do they think do they think she's lying? Do they think she's making up that the charger doesn't work? And they wanted the order number, they wanted the size of her ring, when it was ordered, how it was paid for, all these other things you had to try to get over to warranty, so warranty could decide if a 24-hour charger is under warranty or not. Just totally bizarre. You just get the feeling they don't want to replace the charger. They know that they have a charger problem because they have a long laundry list of things you have to do to try to prove that your charger is defective. And my feeling is they just want you to buy a new charger. And that's why they're going to put this on you, to force you to do it. This is ridiculous. So Jan is now using my charger, and I'm using my charger, and we have not heard back for 2 days from Aura if they're replacing her charger or not. I will keep you updated. Well, sometimes, changing the subject, you find things online that just take you right back to places you didn't know existed. And that happened to me yesterday. As you know, if you're a faithful viewer in week 6 of this David Bowles live stream, I have a big archive of things that I've done and accomplished over my life. Bowles.com, click on archives, you see all the articles written about me, all the stuff I produced, all that, all there. But there are 2 things missing from my archive that I cannot find, and it's driving me crazy. One is a audio recording of the radio show I used to host called Unique Youth on KFOR, KFRX radio in the 80s. And every week I would introduce a spectacular young person who was very intelligent, very smart, and celebrate them. And they would come into the studio and I'd interview them, youth interviewing youth. It was really wonderful. And then it ended over a bus fare. We won't get into that story again. The other thing is, a couple of years later, I was the teenaged movie critic on Kidding Around with Lita Powell-Drake on channels 10 and 11, KOLN, KGIN TV, Lincoln and North Platte, Grand Island, Hastings, the whole state. And I would love to see a video of one of my movie reviews. I can't find that either. So every once in a while, I go online, YouTube, where I do a search, David Bowles, Unique Youth, KF4. Anything pop up? What pops up are all my articles that I wrote trying to find one of those episodes. Go on to Google, David Bowles, kidding around, what happened? So yesterday I was on YouTube, checking subscribers, checking things. And I thought, well, it's been a while. Let me type in David Bowles, kidding around, leader Paul Drake. And I type it in, and up pops something that was posted in April. So April, May, June, July, August, September, October. This has been about 6 months. It's been there. 6 months since I've done that particular search. And I'm, what is this? And I'm going to show you what I found. It was absolutely the find, for me, of the century. And you can't really see it yet because I can't show it to you, but I can show you a few things. So here we go. This is not a music video, it's a video with an image and a song. Will Saws. And here we go. Heartbreaker. Stiff Competition. Stiff Competition is the name of the band. At the Playmore Ballroom. 1981. Wow. 40 years ago. I was 16 years old. And here's the little blurb. Kelly Ellenwood joins us on this old Pat Benatar tune, but at the time it wasn't old, it was rather new. Kelly was up against the wall of thunder that night, but mightily holds her ground. Classic intro by David Bowles, who was then the weekly television teenage movie critic for KOLN KGIN TV's Kidding Around, and a Bowlesful segment. That's all true. I have a memory of the night. I had no memory that this even existed as a video. And then P.S., wait for it, Boswell's signature guitar work at the end kicks it up a notch. Absolutely true. Wow. Turn it up to 11. We always did. Jerry Gaines bass, Jeff Boswell guitar, Mike Ratzlaff guitar, Will Saws drums. Incredible drums. At the end of the evening of this performance, Will could not raise his arms because he had drummed so hard and so fast. Oh, thank you for following. And this was the Playmore Ballroom in Lincoln, Nebraska. So I saw that, I listened to it, and I sent in a little reply. And this is what I said. Now that brings back a lot of memories. What a great killer rendition of that song. Absolutely true. You'll listen to it. Every so often, I do a YouTube search for Kidding Around. I'm looking for any old copies of my old movie reviews, and tonight this popped up. What a delight. So glad you posted this, Will. Hope you are doing well. And Will replied. I have not yet to reply, but I will reply to Will and tell him I'm doing this live. Ah, yes, half a bowlful, indeed. It was a bowlsful, indeed. It was a bowl of fruit. The bowl was either empty for a no-good movie, half full of fruit for a good movie, a bowl full bowl of fruit. Best movie ever. All good here, hope all well with you. We had one volume in those days, and Kelly certainly leaned into it mightily. I believe we were on your program too around that time. I believe that's right. I've got to get more information from Will about that. So I'm going to play you, and this is a YouTube thing. I'm going to play you my little introduction, which is like 3 seconds. And I'll play it a couple of times so you can hear it. It doesn't even sound like me, because I'm yelling over the music, but it is me. And what a mind bender to go back 40 years in the snap of a finger. You hit the play button and you're back in the Playmore Ballroom. And I'll tell you what happened. I was driving, now at 16, drove myself out there. It was a big ballroom, an actually dance ballroom. It was raining that night. I didn't have a coat and I was very cold. I was driving a 1966 Plymouth Fury 2 with positive traction. And it was such a delight to be there on my own, independent, sort of hosting this show. And I'll tell you more about the show. So this is what the video looks like. We'll go all the way to the beginning. And I can't play the whole thing because it's a copyright song. So you can listen to it on YouTube. I'll give you the link in chat. But I can't play the whole thing because it's a Pat Benatar song. So I'll play what I can, which is the 3-second intro.
You're gonna do an old Pat Benatar tune. This is stiff competition on Heartbreaker.
We're going to do an old Pat Benatar tune. This is Stiff Competition and Heartbreaker. Let me turn off the streaming music so you can hear it a little bit better. This is 40 years old, so it's a little hard to get into the middle of it. Play it again. And I could just, this is as much I can play.
You're gonna do an old Pat Benatar tune. This is stiff competition on Heartbreaker.
One more time.
You're gonna do an old Pat Benatar tune. This is stiff competition on Heartbreaker.
And then they played for 2 hours that night at the Playmore Ballroom. And I'll show you the last, at the end of the song. Here they are. Stiff Competition. Now that's a band, right? Oh my gosh. The memories. Now I think they were maybe a little younger in that photo than they were, because they were high school students too. But maybe that is their high school. Maybe that's how they looked. I don't know. But what a memory. And we were throwing some kind of fundraiser, I think, for the youth employment system or youth in government. It was a new thing. And we wanted to get kids from all over Lincoln, Nebraska to come and join our group and be powerful and have a voice in local government. It was really wonderful. And we had this fundraiser at the Playmore Ballroom. And Stiff Competition played. And it was very successful. And I remember to promote the concert, Stiff Competition came to my high school, Lincoln Northeast High School. And they set up everything, amps, drums, guitars, in the cafeteria of Lincoln Northeast High School. And we had permission from the principal to do this, but nobody else in school knew what was going on. I knew, Stiff Competition knew. That was it. And they came around 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and they set up everything in the cafeteria. And at 3 o'clock, the second the bell rang to dismiss school at 3 p.m., Stiff Competition, bang, everything at 11, turned up to 11, loud, air shaking, table shaking, mind-blowing music that was fantastic. And it was a beautiful thing because students, as they were leaving, said, "What is that? That sounds like live music from the cafeteria at Lincoln Northeast High School. It can't be." And they would come in and they'd look around. Why are we having a concert here? And they would stand around and they would finish the song. And I'd say, "Hey, come to Playmore Ballroom this Friday night." Did a little ad. And the Northeast kids looked at me like, "What is going on? We've never heard of this." And then they played another song. I think they did 3 songs. And I think we finished like 3:30. And then the band packed up. And all the rest of the kids that were there watching were like, "Hey, wait a minute, what's going on? We just got here. Hey, if you want more, come on down to the Playmore Ballroom Friday, Saturday night." It was a wild, wonderful experience to be young and brash and talented. We were all doing it together. We were all really trying to make the world a better place. A government that would listen to kids. A TV show where kids were reviewing movies. A radio interview show where kids were celebrating kids. It was really fantastic. And you can't do that without the proper support of the community and the people who are in positions of power to help you make those things work. And they did make it work. And we were grateful for the opportunity. And now, my friend, it's that time of day. It's a blood pressure break time. I'm going to see you momentarily. Back on David Bowles Live, reminiscing about the Playmore Ballroom 40 years ago. when rock music meant something and made a difference in young lives everywhere. So I want to go back to that video just for a moment because I didn't give you the link and because I remember that evening when I first got there, Amy Thone was a fan of the band, and the governor's daughter at the time, we met each other, introduced, and I remember the thing she told me. It stayed with me for 40 years. She said, "You have smiling eyes." Smiling eyes. It was beautiful. And I said, "Well, thank you so much." And that's all. I should have said more, but I was too shy. I was 16 years old. So here we go, back to the browser. I'm just so tempted to play little bits of this song because it's so good. So I'm going to play a little bit of the beginning again so you can hear me talking. Then I'm going to see if I can find that blistering solo that Will talks about.
They're gonna do an old Pat Benatar tune. This is stiff competition on Heartbreaker!
Okay, we got to stop that. Then let's go a little farther in and see if I can find the guitar solo. I gotta play that again because that, I mean, come on now. That's better than stuff you hear today. High school kids. 40 years ago, Lincoln, Nebraska. Playmore Ballroom. Jeff Boswell. That's that lead guitar. Wow. You can't beat that. Oh, you can listen to that all day long, I tell you. And I learned when I came to New York and worked on Broadway that, and I learned this from a very reputable Broadway conductor, that the most important member of any band, especially an orchestra, is the drummer. The drummer is the engine that moves everything. The drummer is the one who sets the time. And Will was the drummer. Will Saws was the drummer for Stiff Competition. And you can hear in that little bit that I was able to play for you that he is right there like a clock telling what time it is, right on the beat. So I promised you I'd give you this link in chat so you can, I hope, go visit and listen to the whole song yourself on YouTube. Absolutely a delight. There's the link. And if this link doesn't work for you, find me online, Twitch, at David Bowles. And I will very happily get back to you and help you. So now we take a little turn in the news. This whole Kyle Rittenhouse thing, it deserves to be discussed, if we can, in some sort of neutral human tone. And as someone on television said, what that verdict does is the Second Amendment eats the First Amendment. Are you allowed to go publicly protest and be heard? Free speech? Or does a gun shut you up? And forget what happened with this gun and the killing of people and shooting of people. What I would like to go back is just step back a little bit in time. And this is where people say the prosecution made their biggest mistake in prosecuting him, is the question that should have been at the forefront of that trial was not the murders and not the shooting, but the context of why Kyle Rittenhouse was there. And the public danger that he created by carrying an assault rifle and walking around. And he claimed self-defense. And what about the other people who were there? Seeing this kid walk around with his gun, we don't know if he was pointing it at people before he shot them, but maybe they felt in fear of their life. Maybe that's why they tried to fight back. Not with guns, but with a skateboard. It's dismaying because there are some now who believe that, hey, I can go protest with my gun, and if I feel like I'm in trouble, hey, I'll shoot them. And in court, I'll say it was self-defense. I was threatened. They came after me. Some say that when Kyle was testifying that he was faking his tears because there were no real tears. I don't know. You really can't know something like that. But there are people, prosecutors, who said, hey, the day after this happened, they said, hey, he will never spend one day in jail. There's no way. With his age and where the trial will be held, he will not be held criminally responsible for the death of the people that he shot. And that was sort of prescient. And you cannot help, especially if you live in New York, you cannot help but think about Kyle Rittenhouse and Bernie Getz. Bernhard Getz. Do you remember who Bernie Getz is? I'll show you who Bernie Getz is. Bernie Getz, this is like 1984, I believe. Fears mugging, shoots 4 on the subway. Now, Bernie Getz is kind of a mealy-mouthed, weak, milquetoast type of personality. And I guess when he would go on the subway, he would be harassed, mainly by black teenagers. And he felt threatened, as I understand the story. So Bernie Getz got a gun. Not allowed to have a gun in New York City. And the next time a group of young people who happened to be black male teenagers approached him on the train, Bernie Getz said, I have something for you. And he pulled his gun and he shot them. And Bernie Getz, like Kyle Rittenhouse, was unapologetic. Had to be done. If not for the fact that they were bothering me, I would not have shot them. I would not have used deadly force. And in some camps, in some areas, Bernie Goetz was seen as a hero. Oh, look, he stood up to the criminal element in New York City and fought back. Remember the movie Falling Down? Wonderful Joel Schumacher movie, wonderful movie, starring Michael Douglas. Sort of the story, in some ways, I think, of Bernie Goetz. Is he a hero or is he a villain? I guess it all depends on what side of the gun you are standing on. They picked the wrong guy. People shouldn't go looking for trouble. And he was put on trial. It was a big mess. So, what does Bernie Goetz think of Kyle Rittenhouse? Oh, what do you think? Kyle Rittenhouse trial is a sham at best, says Subway vigilante Bernie Goetz, to satisfy a mob. Goetz, who argued self-defense for himself after shooting 4 teenagers who were black in 1984, spoke to Fox News, where he questioned if the purpose of the trial was just to satisfy a mob for Kyle. Someone already hit you in the head with a skateboard, and someone else is pointing a gun at you, and they are shouting, and they're going to kill you. You also have a gun. Wouldn't you start pointing your gun at them? And my question is, why were these people yelling at him? Why were they going after him with a skateboard? Did he do something? Was it because he was carrying an assault rifle? So Bernie Goetz made headlines in the 80s for shooting 4 black teenagers on a New York City subway. He was riding the number 2 train on December 22nd, 1984, when he used an illegal handgun to shoot the 4 teenagers after someone from the group approached him and asked for $5. Court papers state Goetz said they effectively surrounded him. The teens allegedly had sharpened screwdrivers with them at the time, according to reports, although Goetz says they didn't show them. Goetz argued in court it was self-defense because the teens had intended to rob him. And Bernie Goetz was acquitted of attempted murder during his criminal trial in '87, but was convicted of a weapons charge and spent 8.5 months behind bars. So this is sort of where we are in America. Vigilantism is becoming commonplace. What's going on in Kenosha, right here. Kyle Rittenhouse from Illinois went to Wisconsin and fatally shot 2 men and wounded another during confrontations. And it makes the news, and it makes Wikipedia. 1984 subway shooting, Bernie Goetz surrendered to police 9 days later, charged with attempted murder, assault, reckless endangerment, and several firearm offenses. Initially, Bernie Goetz was viewed by most as a victim, and by some as a vigilante. And he received widespread public recognition and support. A grand jury refused to indict Goetz on the more serious charges, voting indictments only for criminal gun possession. However, public opinion about Goetz wavered due to statements and alleged damaging details of the incident that later were released by the prosecution. Bernie Goetz was then re-indicted by a second grand jury on more serious charges. This took over in New York City. Later, at a jury trial, he was found guilty on 1 count of carrying an unlicensed firearm, for which he served 8 months of a 1-year sentence. In 1996, KB, who had been left paraplegic and brain damaged as a result of injuries, obtained a civil judgment of $43 million against Goetz I don't think it was ever paid. So how do we handle a society where these guns are everywhere? I saw online a person from Germany commenting on a photograph of Kyle Rittenhouse, very presciently saying, "I am from Germany, and I do not understand how a 17-year-old can be out at night at that time with that kind of gun. That would never happen here now." And it makes us wonder why it's happening here now. When is this going to end? Do we all have to have machine guns? Assault weapons? Knives won't be enough. You're gonna have to have your own gun, then probably eventually your own grenade, probably a machine gun, then Kevlar all over to protect yourself from other people with their guns. And we're going to live in some kind of militaristic society, which we already do because the police have become the military. They get all the, I don't want to say rejected, scraps from the military that goes to local police departments. And what are they doing with this stuff? These assault vehicles? Perpetuating the idea that America's a really dangerous, awful place? It's a concern. Knowing where we are, who we are, and where we're going, and these kind of open debates that we have about the future of the United States and the world, where guns are more common than ever. And New York has very strict gun laws that are being challenged in court. And if people are going to be allowed to open carry in New York City, look out and take cover. Buy your kids the bulletproof backpacks that they sell after school shootings. They have a metal plate in them, I believe, and you put them on your back, and you wear it like a backpack, but when someone breaks into your schoolroom, then you take off your backpack, or you pick up your backpack, you hide behind your backpack, and your backpack is supposed to save you from being shot. But as I've said before, after Sandy Hook, when all those children were killed and nothing happened, it sort of tells her where we are as a nation. And if the majority of people really cared and wanted this to stop, it would stop. Which makes you realize that, maybe the majority of the people really do all want guns. And they're scared, and they want to fight back against these invisible intruders. And they want to go into stores with automatic rifles attached to their backs. And you may pity them, you may feel sorry for them because they're so terrified and frightened. But you really can't say anything because they'll turn around and take it the wrong way. Have their feelings hurt. And defend their honor with a bullet. Is a person more reasonable with a gun or less reasonable? It's a difficult conversation. And hey, in the interest of full transparency, when I first moved to New York, I purchased 2 guns. One was a Colt, the other was a Smith & Wesson Magnum. I did it all legally. I went through the process. It took forever. Licensing, fingerprinting at one police plaza. First time they did the fingerprinting, it was too dark. So a month later, I got it. You have to come down. We have to redo your fingerprints. The FBI rejected your fingerprints because we used too much ink. So I went back down. They inked me. We did it again. Then I got my license to go purchase 2 guns. And I did. And I brought them home with my bullets. And I did not feel safer. They had to be locked up at home. Unless you were cleaning your gun, which is the excuse you'd use if someone broke in and you shot them. Well, I had my gun out. I was cleaning it, so I just put a bullet in and bang. And then I think every year or every 2 years you had to recertify your license and get approval from the city to have your guns. And I just said, you know what? I'll surrender the guns. I don't want them anymore. I guess I should have shot. I could have sold them, but I didn't. I just went to the local precinct, turned them in, said, I don't want these anymore. And they said, okay. I don't even think they gave me a receipt. They just took the guns. And then for years after that, I would get a letter in the mail saying, you have illegal guns. And I say, no, I don't. I gave them back. I turned them in. And I guess that was enough to satisfy them because they never came after me. And then we moved to New Jersey and it didn't matter anymore. But ever since then, we've been gunless. We thought they'd make us feel a little bit safer, but they did not. Now, maybe if you can conceal your gun and carry it with you everywhere, okay. But if you have a gun, you're probably going to want to use it if you feel threatened. Open carry, concealed carry. Then you can get concealed carry licenses in New York City. You kind of have to prove why. You're carrying a lot of money, you're famous, you've had death threats, but you can get one. And a lot of famous people who have money have guns. And so far, a lot of them don't use them, which is probably a good thing. And I joined the NRA, I got the hat, all that. So I completely understand the want to have guns. I fired guns. My grandfather had shotguns and pump rifle guns and all that. BB guns. I'd go up there shooting BB gun every time I visited him in Nebraska. So I'm certainly not anti-gun. A friend of mine says if you really want to take care of guns in society, let everyone have a gun, but register the bullets. Because without a bullet, you're not going to get very far with a gun. And that's kind of an interesting idea. Bullets don't last forever. They think, oh, you make a bullet and it's good for 100 years. Not really. As I understand, the gunpowder can kind of deteriorate after time. And you have to get new bullets to replace your old bullets. So if we know where the bullets are and who has them and when they've been fired, well, maybe people will think twice. But when you put yourself in a bad situation at night in a strange town, and you have a great big assault rifle, or you're hiding your gun from other people on the subway hoping they'll come up to you and harass you so you can use your gun, or someone will threaten you and you can raise your gun and take a shot at them. It makes the gun the first resort and the last resort. No in between. No running away, no ignoring, no trying to just quiet the situation. Because even if you pull a gun and don't use it, it's still a bit of a threat that has to be dealt with. And with that, my friend, we're going to take one more blood pressure break. I'll see you in a moment. And we are back. David Bowles live. Wonderful to be here. Starting week number 6. And just to put kind of a final button on this Kyle Rittenhouse, Bernie Getz conversation, I just hope that those types of people aren't going to be the new standard for what a human being should be and how a human being should behave. I'm slightly concerned about it. But speaking of human beings and really terrible people, over the weekend I watched Tiger King 2. Now, during the pandemic, I watched the first season of Tiger King, was fascinated by it, as many people were. And Tiger King 2, I thought, what are they going to do? Joe Exotic's in prison for 22 years. How are they going to make any of this work? And it's only 5 episodes. Each episode is about 44 minutes. Carol Baskin sued Netflix for Tiger King 2, saying that they did not have her permission to include her in the second season of Tiger King 2, which I find extremely fascinating, because Carol Baskin is the hero of Tiger King 2. Carol Baskin and PETA are the two people who are fighting for the rights of these wonderful animals. Netflix makes her a superstar, and she's complaining about it. And I understand why. People don't like her. She has death threats. She doesn't feel she was properly involved in the first one. She was made the villain. And they're still the bad guys, trying to make her the murderer of her husband in season 2. But there's no way to prove that, and they will never prove that. But one thing you cannot shake in watching Tiger King 2 is just how awful all of the people involved in this industry are in the end. And when you finished binging 5 hours of the new Tiger King 2, you just sit there and think, why did I waste 5 hours of my time with these scumbags? And I guess the biggest scum of all of them is this Jeff Lowe guy, who, I have to be honest, is remarkably resilient. He appears to be the dungeon master behind everything that goes on. Every bad thing that happens in the world goes through Jeff Lowe in that world. And so far, he's untouched. He's very slick. He speaks very well. He knows how to protect himself. He may recant accusations, but only if it helps him. Jeff Lowe is taking a show on the road, but not voluntarily. He's being evicted from his Tiger King park, and now is to set up shop at a whole new location. According to new legal docs obtained by TMZ, the owner of the park went after Jeff, claiming he owes more than $10,000 in unpaid rent and other damages. Court documents show the judge ruled Jeff has to fork over $10,000 and vacate the premises by October 22nd at noon. Did he or didn't he? I don't know. He always has an excuse for something. That's what's great about Jeff Lowe. Blames other people. Can't be him. And when he speaks and when he blames other people, it's very convincing. You think, well, how could it be? Can't be Jeff. He's the one who's put upon. It's a wonderful talent to have, very dangerous person. And the real nasty guy in Tiger King 2 is Tim Stark, who hurts animals and doesn't care and who curses out people. And he's a big bully, this Tim Stark guy. Talks real tough, looks real tough. But he wouldn't last a day in New York City because he would be confronted and he would have to produce. And we see in Tiger King 2 that when he is confronted and the pressure is put on him, he collapses. And as my wife said, his eyes changed when he went into court in his orange suit. He was no longer the tough guy. He was the defeated animal. Very good observation. So who is Tim Stark? This is who he is. He has his own little wildlife sanctuary. Workers allege that animals were often parched, starved, and kept in inadequate cages. They also claim there weren't enough staff members to properly tend to the animals, and that the only vet on staff regularly botched procedures, causing animals to die. Additionally, employees allege that Stark mistreated animals who were sick, including an incident during which he beat a leopard cub to death with a baseball bat. On top of that, Stark kept no paperwork on which animals were brought in or when they were supposedly released. That is because, the workers alleged, most of the animals were killed and never set free. So I guess this guy's kind of infamous in his town. He's the real horrible person in Tiger King 2. He has no redeeming qualities whatsoever. Jeff Lowe is very smooth and very convincing and very slick. Tim Stark, however, is very sticky. All these terrible things stick to him because they come out of his mouth. And he talks about really being bipolar or schizophrenic, where he has Tim, that everyone hates, on the one hand, and then Sue, a boy named Sue, Johnny Cash. Sue is his other personality that everyone loves. And I'm sure he's going to use that in some sort of defense. But Stark's many crimes caught up with him in February of 2020 when a USDA administrative judge ruled that Stark had willfully violated the Animal Welfare Act over 120 times between January 2012 to January 2016. The judge revoked Wildlife in Need's federal license and fined the facility $300,000 and Stark $40,000. Stark appealed, denied. And to speak what you watch the show, you think, how could you survive all these years? Well, they would fine him. They would tell him to stop. And Tim would say, no, I'm not stopping. Make me. F you. He'd go to court, say F you, and leave. That's what a bully does. That's why you got to play a little hardball with some of these guys, because they are not on your side. They are not your friend. They are not the friend of the animal. In April 2021, an Indiana judge discovered Stark had fraudulently used funds from Wildlife in Need for his own personal use. As a result, Stark was officially and permanently forbidden from ever owning or exhibiting exotic or native animals. The remaining animals at Wildlife in Need are all currently in the care of an Indianapolis zoo. After the ruling, Stark posted a Facebook Live video in which he said he couldn't think right mentally anymore while brandishing a gun. He was taken into custody and his license to carry handguns was also suspended. Real winner. And this is the guy who's taking care of exotic animals. In Tiger King 2, he says he has hundreds of thousands of dollars of animals that are being taken away from him by the government. And I guess his best ones he hid in some van down by the river, where he hoped no one would find them and they would all die. I guess he planned to go and take them himself and make money off of them at some point. But the good guys found the van, saved the animals. It's just exhausting trying to think about it. And here we go. This is the pinnacle. Tiger King Jeff Lowe again, scraps his memorial plans for Eric Cowie, who was another guy in Tiger King who worked at the zoos and seems like a really nice guy who died an untimely and unseemly death. after remains are claimed by his family. So Jeff Lowe is trying to step forward as the good guy. Lowe previously had plans to claim his friend's remains and spread them as part of a memorial service along with his favorite cat, who died recently as well. At the time, Lowe was looking into claiming Cowie's remains, as a family member had not yet come forward following his death. But then I guess someone claiming to be a relative of Cowie's had a deed come forward and collected the remains from the medical center in New York. So that's Cowie on the right and Jeff Lowe on the left. So he was trying to do the right thing, I guess, by taking care of his abandoned friend in death, which made him look good. It made him look like a human being, probably kinder to him than he was to his animals. It's a very sad thing. So there's death and destruction and terrible behavior all around. It's a little disappointing when you realize that this is how far we've come as a society. We haven't come very far, that's what I think. So if you're wondering, should I watch Tiger King 2 or not? I would say if you watch Tiger King 1, you would find Tiger King 2 interesting because it does follow up. It ties up a lot of loose ends. Although Doc Antle, is that his name? Nowhere in Tiger King 2. Which is very interesting because he had a lot going on. Now maybe he's extricated himself from that. Maybe he's no longer in that world. I don't know. But Joe Exotic wants out of jail. He's probably placed there unfairly, some argue. Other people think, let him sit there for 22 years and learn his lesson. But everything with Joe Exotic that's in Tiger King 2 is done over like a video phone. Very hard to hear him. You can't really understand him, so you're left with Jeff Lowe and Tim Stark. Oh. But then there's Carol Baskin, who's right there, and they try to accuse her of killing her husband, but she's right there suing them back and taking their property, and she knows how to play hardball. You don't love cats? You're using them to make yourself rich? Okay, well, I'm going to take your cats, and I'm going to take your land, because I'm owed that because of what you've done to me, and I'm going to put you out of business. And she does. And she teams up with PETA, and they go after these terrible people and put them in their place. And Tiger King 2's champion is Carol Baskin. So maybe she'll drop her suit against Netflix. Now we move to a new idea for a moment. The idea of collaboration. And collaboration is important in anything you do. If you have a job, if you have a friendship, you need to work together, find common ground. Usually one people has to lead. It's very hard to have two leaders on a project because somebody has to follow. And you can take turns leading, but in the end it needs to be one person who's making the decision. So Howard Stein brought me to New York City on a Columbia University presidential scholarship. And I was very delighted and very honored to be a part of the Oscar Hammerstein II Center for Theater Studies in the city of New York. And then after I graduated, Howard and I stayed in contact. We chatted on the phone, weekly, sometimes daily. And we talk about the world, and we talk about things going on. And he would submit articles for publication in bowlesblogs.com. And we'd talk about things that were missing, things that need to be fixed, what his thoughts were. And sometimes he would leave me voicemail messages because I wouldn't be able to go to the phone. And I was able to save his voicemail message to share with you now. And this was originally posted 7 years ago. And I talked to Howard and I said, we have this wonderful collaboration as part of the process. People can learn from it. Do you mind if I use your old voicemails and share them with my readers and my listeners and my now live streamers? And back then he said, do whatever you want to with them. I said, okay. And so I have. So I'm going to play you these series of voicemail messages that Howard left for me, just to show you the back and forth. Howard died several years ago, 91 years old. So he was, 20 years older than me, 30 years older than me. But we were still, I don't want to say equal because Howard's up here, I'm down here, but we were still in the same aura, the same wild universe of writing and collaborating and understanding. So I will turn off the music for this part just because I think Howard's voice is a little hard to hear because he was not feeling well. He had heart disease. And at the end, he, told me it took him 6 hours to get ready for the day. Get up, eat, take a shower, put on your clothes, 6 hours. So if he had to go to the doctor, and he went to the doctor a lot at the end, he had to wake up very early in order to get to the doctor's office because it took him that long because of his heart disease to be moving. So you can see the collaboration. Even though he's talking to my voicemail, you can see that he's responding to things we've done and things that we are about to do. Howard Stein in collaboration.
It's Howard. I was very excited by the letter from you and also by the lovely, lovely note and card from Jana. And I sat down at the typewriter and knocked out a kind of a page of just something that sort of interested me, just as a response to what you sent to me. And so I would like to some idea of what it's about on the telephone before I retype it and send it to you. And if I could hear from you, I'd be very grateful. So that's what the reason for this call. And please give Jana a big, big, big hug and kiss from me. I loved hearing from her. It was lovely of her to send me a special, special Valentine. Thank you, David. I hope to hear from you. David, it's Howard. I just finished 4 pages. It may be too much. I don't know. I got involved in writing about that page that I had read you on the phone, and it sort of expanded. I don't know how good it is. But I'm sending it to you, and you can see what you want to do with it. I'm very grateful for you sending me all that good material. You were very kind and generous to do all that. I'm happy to have it. I'd forgotten all about it, and so it was fun to have. And so you and Jana, please give Jana a big hug and kiss from me, and give her my, not just my affection, but my joy and pride in what she does and how she does it. I think it's so terrific. I'm so grateful that she has the energy and the talent to do what she does and sustain it. Christ, David, she's been going for 20 years already. More than that. No? David? David, it's Howard. I have another piece I'm submitting to you. I'm sending it in the mail. It'll go out tomorrow morning. And I would like to talk to you about, I'm very happy with what you're doing, and I've always been very impressed with your comments. I was impressed with other people's as I am with yours. But I can't handle those 10-sentence stories. I don't get that. Somehow it escapes me. And I like to talk to you about it because I feel somehow that I'm not sufficiently capable of being able to really find the excitement in that work. So I would like to be able to share it with you. In the meantime, my friend, I'll put this in the mail. It's called Springtime for Howard, and it's about golf, and it's quite different from anything else you've gotten. And you'll see if it's in any way interesting for you. It may not be. Take care of yourself. Bye-bye. David, it's Howard to tell you that on page 2 of 4 pages on the golf article, from the bottom of the page, go up 5 lines, fifth line from the bottom, the sentence that starts with, when one scores lowest on the whole, but you've written, when one soars lowest on the whole. It should be when one, O-N-E, scores, S-C-O-R-E-S. That's the mistake. Okay? Thanks, Dave. I'll talk to you soon. David, it's Howard. I just read the article that you sent me, and I thank you for it. I'd be very happy to speak to you about it. I wonder if you'll tell me what there is about the premise that you disagree with, and then we can maybe have a little conversation on the phone. I look forward to hearing from you, Dave. Bye-bye. David, it's Howard. I'm just calling again because I don't know if you'll be able to reach me, and we might have a rather busy weekend. And I'm just responding just to you about the article about Peter Thiel. So take care of yourself. Bye-bye. Hi, David. I wonder if you're in Jersey City or not. This is the third call I've made over the last few days. I would like to speak to you, but I've heard nothing back. I'd like to be able to say hello to you. So if you can call me, I'll keep trying to get you, but maybe you're not available. I know that I think Jana was going to go to Iowa this week. I think that's true. So I could have also went. Take care of yourself. Bye-bye. David, it's Howard. I'm sorry to call you on a Saturday when you're free, but I just for the first time really read through the full blog on the golf article, and there was a word missing in the last line of the entire piece, which is one of Thomas Jefferson's words. And the line is that never was and never will be. The never has been omitted in the first never, and it should be in there. A nation which is ignorant and free has never been, or never was and never will be. So maybe you can fix that and put that word never in there. If you have a question, you can let me know. I'm a little slow these days, David, and I apologize for being less energetic than I would like to be. Bye-bye. David, it's Howard. I'm calling because I haven't been in touch with you, and I apologize for that. I haven't had bad time over the past couple of weeks, but I'm not as swift as I've been, and I haven't been able to keep up with things. And it's disturbing to me, but it's a condition I have to live with. So, but I wanted to be in touch with you and Jana. I thought maybe you might get yourself a little vacation now before the fall semester, because maybe your summer went all the way to the end of August. So I don't know, but I've been wondering about you. I've been wondering how things went for the summer. That was a big trial period for you. And so please take care of yourself. I'll try again soon. If I don't hear from you, you're going to hear from me very soon. I'm not going to put anything on any burner now except the front. Take care of yourself. Bye-bye. David, Howard Stein. I'm going to be home all day today. It's Saturday. I wanted to wait and call you on Saturday because I hoped that you didn't have to teach on Saturday and you might have some available time. And since I'm going to be here all day, I know that if you do call, I would not miss your call. I didn't like being interrupted out of this conversation. I had other things to say to you, and I also have still other things to say to you. So if I can get a chance to talk to you, I'd be very happy. Please give Jana a big hug and kiss from me. It's now about 11:30 on Saturday morning, the 17th of September. I look forward to talking to you. Thanks, Dave. Bye-bye. David, it's Howard Stein. I was hoping you might have a day off to rest and stay at home and enjoy your wife and just sort of take it easy and answer the phone. That's what I'm doing. I'm fixing up my papers. I got a good report from my doctor on Wednesday. My heart has not been any thicker than it was 4 months ago or 6 months ago. So that means somehow it's not as sick as was anticipated. And that seems to me like a rather good bit of news. I am short of breath, but he says I'm much too early for oxygen. So that's also a bit of good news. And I keep on the diuretic, which, as he discovered, I have no water in my lungs at all. And so I can pass on to you a rather bit of good news. And went to my general practitioner with all the blood work, and it was absolutely every area was okay. Every area. Not one area was even questionable. I've lost a little bit of weight because I think the diuretic gets some water out of me. And my blood pressure was down around 120 over 60 or 130 over 80, which is very good for me and very good in general. So I'm telling you now to give you a good report and tell you I'm around, and I intend to be kicking. I can't kick. I don't know how high I can kick, but I'm going to stay at it as best I can, Dave. So please take good care of yourself, and thanks ever so much for all the attention and for all the information. I love hearing from you. Take care of yourself. Bye-bye. And I just want to corroborate your address. I've got your phone number, but I want to make sure it's 33 Concord Street, and that's the only reason I'm calling, except to keep in touch with you. I hope things are going well, and that you and Jana are fine and holding up. There's been a lot of bad weather, and I know it's a busy time for you. I'm sure it's especially busy time now. And after the holidays, I was speaking to you much more quietly, I think, when it's easier for you and Jana. You have to take care of all your various jobs. I don't think that I'm not a great champion of multitasking. I believe in singleness of purpose. But in your case, I believe in multitasking. That's the way you live, and that's the way you are productive. It's wonderful. Take care of yourself, buddy. Just let me know if that's the right address. I don't want to make a mistake. Thanks. Bye-bye.
And that's Howard Stein. I'm going to have a few more comments about Howard. But right now, we need to take a break. I will see you again soon.
Up, dude?
Attention and intention, contextual consequences, and cultural confusion in Deaf West's Spring Awakening Broadway Revival by David Bowles, November 8, 2015. Let's agree on one thing. Deaf West's excellent Broadway revival of Spring Awakening is a fine production currently showing at the Brooks Atkinson Theater in a limited run. The sets and lights are magnificent, the staging is right, the actors are completely superb. The effort is noble, but perhaps imperfect in the execution of its essence, and it is in that vacuum of those slight flaws in amber that this review reflects, to make you think and wonder in preservation and ponder beyond the simple joy of watching a few deaf actors on a live Broadway stage.
For Deaf People Only by Jana, Sweeney, and David Bowles. Why for deaf people only? Once upon a time, there was a book we read called For Hearing People Only that dealt with matters of the deaf and the communication and deaf culture, and the point of the book was to speak directly, if not harshly, to hearing people and the discriminatory way they treat the deaf in their midst. The book was popular and important and was not without its critics. "You hate hearing people" was a popular online refrain from those who claimed to have read the book, while also entirely missing the point. Learning American Sign Language in 24 Hours by Jana, Sweeney, and David Bowles. The first question any ASL student asks, private study students or public university students, is, how long is this going to take? Those students are trying to insult the learning process or set limits on their commitment. We have learned that they want to carve out time from an overwhelming day and a busy schedule so
And we are back. David Bowles live. Interesting day. I hate autoplay. And that's what happened. Howard Stein's voicemails played, and then I heard my phone ringing. I think, what is that ringing coming from? I thought, well, I'll go turn off the phone out there. And then I realized that was not my phone. That was a ringtone that's part of my SoundCloud account. And then everything in my queue started playing during the break. So you had a little extra entertainment. So I made notes during the Howard Stein phone calls just to kind of clarify a couple of things. The first thing that he really said that he didn't understand or like was the 10-sentence story. Now, we used to have a blog that has now been folded into bowlesblogs.com called 10 sentence stories. And you would tell a story in 10 sentences. I loved it. I thought it was amazingly interesting and fun. And many of my writers did too, because it was just 10 sentences, boom, story. Beginning, middle, and an end. But Howard did not like a 10-sentence story. He did not understand the purpose behind a 10-sentence story. Okay. I explained it to him, and he was not a supporter, and he did not write one. I thought it would be something interesting for him to try to write a 10-sentence story, and he did not want to write one, and he did not write one. Where he kept talking about Jana and her 20 years and how wonderful she is. He was talking about her teaching ASL, and she had been teaching at that time for 20 years. Now it's more like 27 years, straight, every semester. Thankless job. Students love her. The institutions, they really don't seem to care either way. The correction on his golf article was also very interesting, because you could tell he read it several times. He would always call with little fixes. It always seemed like I was never around, but you have to understand, Howard and his wife, Marianne, did not have voicemail or an answering machine. They did not believe in it. They did, however, have call waiting. So sometimes I'd be talking to Howard and he'd get a call waiting and he would try to ignore it, but sometimes he knew he had to answer it because it was a family member or the doctor's office. So then we'd hang up and he'd try to call back. And sometimes I was on the phone, so it would just get forwarded to voicemail and he's saying, I just talked to you, where are you? It was hard to find him sometimes, especially at the end. About 8 months after that last voicemail, he died. So his last year was a big struggle, and he didn't call as much. Or if he did, he wouldn't leave a message because he was too tired. And so I would always call him back, and I would call him myself, and we'd talk about things in the world. And I wished I had been a little bit smarter at that time to record our conversations with his permission, because they were always lively. And the thing about Howard is he had more energy and more panache and more get up and go than any of his students did. Now, is that a shame or is that something to be proud of? Well, if you're Howard, it's part of who you are. You are energized. And he would wear out his students. I tried not to be worn out. I tried to always stay up with him as best I could. And in many ways, I think that I did. But I know a lot of students didn't like that kind of pressure. It was very hard for them to keep going and to keep up with him. Because he knew everything. He knew the history of theater. He knew every play that had ever been written. And if he didn't know about it, he'd find it and read it, and then he would know about that play, everything that had been written about that play. So he was a great resource that if you needed insight and feedback. And if you didn't understand something or didn't like something, which happened often, he would tell you. But more often than not, he loved theater, and especially the live theater. He was never happier than when he could go to a live theater, sit in the front row. He had eye trouble, hearing trouble, so he'd always sit right in the front row where he could see everything. And I felt the same way. When I go to a live theater, I want to sit in the front row. At the time, not anymore after COVID, but I loved it when the sweat would come off the actor, or they're speaking and they're spitting on the audience because they can't help it because they're trying to project to the back row. This is before microphones. It was an immersive experience, the live theater, because it can never be replicated in any way. The performance you are seeing is for you and you alone with 100 people or 1,500 people. But that same performance is not going to happen tomorrow, and it didn't happen yesterday. That performance and all of its nuances and mistakes and celebrations was only for you in that moment. And that is the absolute delight of the live stage. So it's hard to find Howard, especially at the end when he was at the doctor a lot. And often I'd call and his wife would be there and she'd tell me when it was a good time to call back, and she had written articles for me as well, so we were all kind of in this milieu together. And when you were talking to Howard, or with him, or seeing him, he always made you feel like you were the only person in his life. Now that's a magical talent. And he had a big family, a lot of kids, a lot of grandkids, but when you were with him, you were the only other living human being in the world. You had his full attention, and he was fully and completely interested in you and only you. And that made you feel very special and wanted and not alone. And the other side of Howard was, if you got onto his bad side, and many students did because of laziness or sloth, he would never forgive you. And he was fond of saying, I will never do anything to hurt you, but I will never do anything to help you. And that was not an idle threat. He meant it. I was very lucky that I got a lot of help from Howard, and I was very grateful. And a lot of people try to tell Howard no, and if Howard wanted to do something, it got done. And that was my inspiration in all the things I've done. Bowls, Bells, this live stream, the blog. Everything I've done has been inspired and propelled by Howard. Because it's important to know these things. It's important to know how things happen and why things happen. So before I leave you today, we have to do one more fun thing, just because this is part of our life now. It's time once again for Not Bobby Fischer. We used to call this really bad chess, but we don't any longer because it's Not Bobby Fischer with David Bowles. Oh yes, it's that time of day where we get together and we try to win. And we become humbled. And we become broken down and brought back to earth. So we're back to Chessable. You can find me on Chessable. My username is Chessa Bowles. You can also type in Chessa Bowles, ChessaBoles.com, and see where that takes you if you want some excitement. And these are dangerous endgames. They're puzzles. They are timed. I am not good at timed, difficult puzzles. You know this if you've been with me for the past 6 weeks. I don't play chess every day here with you, although I should, because it's really important that I keep trying to improve and that you know this about me. But as you can see, our puzzle for the day, and I do these in order, I don't skip around. We are playing black, and we have 5 moves, which is a lot. With these puzzles, it's usually 2 moves, maybe 3 moves. I don't remember the last time I was given a 5-move puzzle to solve. But unlike the chess.com puzzle of the day, you never know how many moves you're going to have. You just move until they tell you to stop. But the point and purpose, I can't click on this yet because my timer is going to start when I do. But the point and purpose of these puzzles with Chessables is checkmate the other king. Other puzzles, get out of danger, be smart about it. These Chessable puzzles have a definite ending, and they like you to sacrifice your queen if possible. I'm slightly concerned that 5 moves is a lot, and I'm going to blow it right on the first move. But I tell myself that's okay. I tell myself I'm going to be okay. I don't know if it's true. We're going to find out. Hello. And you hear that click? That means the timer starts. Oh, here we go. It's an endgame with pawns. So we are black, yes. Okay, yes. Black to play. Okay, here we go. Black to play. Okay, here we go. Okay, so I need to queen that pawn. But I have to protect that pawn. And if I move this pawn up, it's going to be taken. And then I'm in trouble because I can't get there in time. So I have a feeling I need to move my king over here to protect this pawn and try to get closer to kill this pawn. I believe that's going to, and then this pawn is going to be sacrificed. But I have to get rid of this white pawn because it's a very dangerous situation for me. I'm going to move this way. See what happens. Cross your fingers. Okay, fabulous. Fabulous. And that was the only move that white could make because my pawn is here. Protecting this, protecting this. King can't take because my king is here. Fabulous. So now I need to take. Now this pawn needs to take this pawn. I believe that's what I would do, because then the king still protects the pawn. But that doesn't mean it's right, because you know me. I think I hear myself playing in the living room. I think I was listening to the ringtone problem we had earlier, and I forgot to turn the volume down. So if you hear a faint echo in the background, it's not your imagination. All right, I think I've thought long enough, and I'm going to try this and see what happens. Why? Oh, I don't understand. I don't understand that at all. I don't understand. If this pawn keeps going... Okay, so we'll play it out. I'll make the move. Now, this is what Chessable makes you do. If you make the wrong move, it makes you go back and make the right move. So I'll do it. And now that pawn's gonna go. I don't know what's going on. I find this unfortunate, but what do I know? I think I've got to keep moving my pawn because this pawn's gonna, in 1, 2, 2 moves, it's gonna queen. I think I have to go there. What other choice do I have? I don't know why you wouldn't take the pawn there. I wish they explained this better. I'm sure there's an explanation somewhere that I've missed, which is nothing new. I'm gonna go here. Yeah, okay, so one more move, that queen is gonna, that pawn is going to move here and become a queen. So if I move here, and this queens, okay, then I move here, okay, and then the king is checkmated. Okay, very, very, very tricky. I guess if I didn't, if I took the pawn, then my pawn would be out of position and wouldn't be able to checkmate. So that's what's going on. I understand now. So I gotta move this here. Yep, and that's gonna queen. Okay, fair, right? But we don't care. That's what the puzzle's teaching me. You think you want to take, but then it puts this pawn on this rank, which is no good because you want to keep this pawn on this rank so it protects this pawn and the king gets put in check with the next move because this pawn is going to move here and put the king in check, and then the king has nowhere to move because the king is always in check. Oh boy! I call that a tricky puzzle. So I gotta move or I'm gonna be in trouble. So, that is the right move. 5 moves. 1 mistake. I accept. 5 new moves, 80% accuracy. Time studied, almost 5 minutes. I gained 150 points. I have done 42 out of 92 of these puzzles in this chapter. And I'm doing well. I'm not giving up. Everything's fine. But now we're just going to have a little bit of fun. And we're going to have an easy puzzle. We're going to make 1 move so we end the day with the right tone. White to play. One move. Which is going to be some kind of check and see. Now what is that 1 move? Well, it can only be one thing. I think it has to be this rook. Here. Which puts the king in check. The rook will take. And then my pawn will take. The rook. And then the king would take the pawn. Can I win an endgame with a bishop and a king? I don't think so. Maybe I can. But I think that's the only move. They like you to put the king in check. I gotta do it. I was not right. I was very wrong. So make the right move. And it's over. Over! 0% right. Well, can't really end the day like that, can you? 1 more. Oy, oy, oy. White to play. Okay, white to play. Wake up. Time is ticking. White to play. White to play. Here's the king. White to play. These are always very tricky. So you move your knight here. Puts the king in check, which they love. I don't see any other reasonable move. But that doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything. I'll make it anyway. Boom. Not the right move. Went the wrong way. It's the problem with these knights. Now it forces me to make the right move. Okay. So the king moves. Now I have to move. Okay, so what now what? Okay, I would move this pawn here. It puts the king in check. Protected by the bishop. Ah! That doesn't work because then the king will move here and take the bishop. Maybe I want to move this pawn here to protect the bishop. First, that would be interesting. These seems to be pawn puzzles. Well, Davy, I'll do this. Ah, I got 50% accuracy. Well, we're getting better. If you can call getting it half right better. Well, my friend, we've come to the end of our time together. It's been a lovely, lovely time with you, spending time with you. We talked about Tiger King 2 and Awful People. We talked about Kyle Rittenhouse and Bernie Getz. Sort of terrible people, carrying around guns, hoping someone will threaten them so they can use them. Talked about Howard Stein, who is a wonderful guy. Carried a gun in the war, won the war, came home victorious. Didn't need a gun again. And we played a little bit of, not Bobby Fischer, chess. And we did prove that today. I am no Bobby Fischer. I didn't know Bobby Fischer. But you're no Bobby Fischer. If you have Amazon Prime, you can follow this blog, subscribe for free for a month, and then renew it and renew it and renew it and not see any ads and participate in our delightful chat. It's been a wonderful time to spend with you today. I thank you so much for being here. I hope to see you tomorrow. And for now, I bid you good day, good evening, and good night. Get in touch on Twitter at David Bowles, online, Facebook, Bowles, Instagram, Bowles Books. Or you can find us right here. Get in touch, bowles.tv. Thank you, and see you soon.